Thanks for tuning in to Black Video News. We're here with Senator Cruz at the Good Samaritan Outreach and Transition Center right here in San Antonio, Texas. Senator Cruz, what brought you to San Antonio?
Well, we just finished touring the Good Samaritan Veterans Center. You know, they do tremendous work here, helping veterans, both men and women who are transitioning from active duty to veteran status, and also veterans in the community, helping them get jobs, helping them with employment training, helping them with mental health counseling, helping them with all the needs that veterans have. And so we toured this center to learn about the program they're doing here and the good work they're doing and to draw attention to it. But then we also just did a roundtable with community leaders from the community to really listen to the concerns of the community, what challenges people are facing, and what solutions can make a real difference in expanding opportunity.
Now, Senator Cruz, you had some different views and opinions with our former president, President Obama.
Yeah.
You said he didn't play his role as the president when we were dealing with racial issues. You had a statement where you said that. Now, how do you get past that and allow people here in Texas, and I'm talking Democrats and President Obama supporters, to get past that and support you?
Well, I don't know the quote you're referring to, but I will say this. Listen, when President Obama was elected, it had the potential to be a powerful healing moment for our country. Our country's record on race relations has been incredibly rocky. We started with the original sin of our country of slavery, and we still see the very real consequences of slavery. And President Obama is the first African-American president, I think, had a unique opportunity to try to heal those wounds. I will say I thought it was disappointing that too often he didn't seek to bring us together, but instead he tried to divide us on racial lines. And I don't think that's productive. I don't think that's helpful. All of us are Americans, and we ought to be coming together, not divvying ourselves up into separate groups and battling with each other.
Well, you know, you still didn't answer my question, though, but my question really is how do you get African Americans and Democrats in the state of Texas to support you, to get past that? Because, you know, the flame is still lit. So how do you get past that?
Well, it's important to be clear. Listen, I disagreed with President Obama on a number of policy issues, but when it came to him personally, I remember years ago, I was brand new. I'd just been elected to the Senate, 2013. I was doing an interview with a journalist, and he asked me, he said, "You said Barack Obama is public enemy number one." I actually stopped him. I said, "Hold on a second. I've never said any such thing. Those words have never come out of my mouth. And not only that, I don't believe that." I said, now I said, listen, I believe President Obama believes passionately in government control and high taxes, high regulations. I think he believes in socialism. He thinks that's the right solution for helping people. And I think his desire came from good faith, that he was genuinely trying to help people. I said, now, I happen to disagree with the policies he's pushing. I think the policies he's pushing are harmful, but my disagreement with him is not his motivations. It is that the policies that he's pushing are hurting people, and they're hurting Texans. And, you know, you asked in terms of getting the support of Democrats. I mean, I can tell you, so in 2012, when I ran for Senate, I'd never been elected to nothing. This was the first job I was ever elected to. Last thing I was elected to was student council.
Okay.
And when I ran for Senate in 2012, nobody in the state of Texas thought that I could win. I was at 2% in the polls. All of the Texas political establishment was opposed to my campaign. And what fueled our campaign was the grassroots. It was young people, it was Hispanics, it was women, it was small business owners, it was veterans. It was the grassroots. And I can tell you in 2012, for example, I was very proud to get 40% of Hispanics in Texas voted for my campaign.
Okay.
Even while Mitt Romney was only getting 27% of Hispanics nationwide.
Okay. Do you remember what the number was for African Americans?
You know, there wasn't polling on, so we don't have polling on African Americans that was done in Texas that I'm aware of. So I don't know what those numbers are. But you're undoubtedly correct. There is a long history of African Americans in Texas and nationally voting predominantly, if not overwhelmingly, Democratic. And there are a lot of reasons for that, a lot of reasons from history. I can tell you, I think the policies of the Democratic Party have done a lot of damage to the African American community.
Okay. Can you speak on that?
Sure. If you look at virtually every big city in this country has been under single-party Democratic rule for 50 years, and you look at the problems of poverty in many instances have gotten worse. If you compare, for example, median income for African Americans during the 8 years of Ronald Reagan versus the 8 years of Barack Obama, median income for African Americans went up much, much more under Ronald Reagan. Why? Because the economy was booming. Because he had low taxes, low regulations, which meant the economy boomed, which meant there were lots of small businesses, which meant if you were an African American family struggling to make ends meet, as there were more jobs, you ended up doing better. Under Obama, when I talked about the policies that didn't work.
Well, we could say that about Bill Clinton, too, as well.
You are right, but in many ways, I think Bill Clinton inherited the consequences of the Reagan tax cuts that came in with a booming economy. And that really turned around dramatically, and we had really stagnant growth during the 8 years of Barack Obama. You look at right now what the economy is doing in Texas. We cut taxes, cut regulations. The economy's booming in Texas. And that's the best way to help people climb out of poverty and achieve the American dream. You know, my dad, when he came to Texas, he was an immigrant with nothing. He came from Cuba, washed dishes, making 50 cents an hour. If you want people who are struggling to be able to achieve prosperity, you want an environment where they can get a job. Or look, I'll give you another issue that I'm deeply passionate about, which is school choice. School choice, I think, is the civil rights issue of the 21st century. I think every child in Texas, every child in America, has a right to access to a quality education, and it shouldn't matter what race, what ethnicity, what wealth, what zip code. And I believe in school choice in all of its form: public school, private school, charter school, parochial school, religious school. Your choice, you the parent, you the grandparent. That's an issue. You want to talk about an issue that impacts the African American community enormously, that impacts the Hispanic community enormously. It is school choice and improving the quality of education in the public schools. And sadly, the Democratic Party, by and large, is unshakably opposed to choice. So I think you have an instance where the party that right now is getting the majority of the vote in the African American community is often pushing policies that are hurting that community.
Right.
But it's going to take time to make that case and to move people's hearts and minds. And that's certainly what I'm working to do.
Yeah, Senator Cruz, I know you got to go, but quickly, is there a solution behind the meeting today? I know you had a lot of different people, influential people that are here in San Antonio. Is there some kind of, do you have a strategy behind the meeting today?
Well, sure, and this is something that I've tried to do since I've been elected to the Senate, which is traveling around the state, doing roundtables, doing lots of roundtables, doing roundtables with small business owners, doing roundtables with veterans, doing roundtables with on the issue of health care with healthcare providers, doing roundtables with law enforcement, doing roundtables in the minority community, and really just listening to the challenges. I think, you were in the meeting. You'll recall the first, 3/4 of the meeting, I spent pretty much listening and not talking a lot. That's backwards from how most or many politicians approach it. I think you have a responsibility, if you're going to represent 28 million Texans, as I've been charged with doing, to listen to the concerns and talk through solutions. How do we expand opportunity? How do we make it so that more people in communities in San Antonio and across Texas can climb that economic ladder and achieve the American dream? That really, for me, is my passion.
All right, well, thank you, Senator Cruz. Thank you. This is Keith Scott with Black Video News right here at Good Samaritan Outreach and Transition Center right here in San Antonio, Texas.